Hello everyone and welcome to another video here on the Cycling Dane Extra channel, or if you're listening on the Cycling Dane podcast. Stage 10 of the 2025 Vuelta a España marks the resumption of hostilities after the first rest day, and it wastes no time in testing the riders once more. At 175.3 kilometers with over 3,000 meters of climbing, it is another summit finish stage, this time at the Larra-Belagua ski resort close to the French border. The rest day will have been very welcome for a lot of riders, but the peloton knows all too well that the first day back can often be treacherous. Legs can feel heavy, rhythm can be elusive, and if a rider is not careful, they can lose the race in the space of a few poorly judged kilometers. The stage begins from another unusual location, Senda Viva, a vast theme park and zoo in Navarre spread across 120 hectares, the largest of its kind in Spain. Families come here for the wildlife and the roller coasters, but for the peloton there is little time to linger on such distractions. The race heads north immediately into undulating terrain, a landscape of rolling hills that will keep the pace high without ever allowing riders to settle. In the opening phase, the Alto de Lleida is 3.7 kilometers at 4.8%, which sets the tone. Not steep enough to be decisive, but just enough to sting. Soon after comes a pair of similar ascents, a climb of 3.6 kilometers at 5.1%, and the Alto de Iso, 2.6 kilometers long at 4.5%. None of these are categorized, but to dismiss them would be a mistake. Taken at tempo, they will drain the energy and gradually sapping strength before the real mountains appear. The first climb of true consequence is the Alto de las Coronas, crested after 127.7 kilometers, which is 8.3 kilometers long at 4.7%, and is not the fastest climb of the Vuelta, but its placement is crucial. By this point in the stage, the peloton will have covered over 120 kilometers of attritional terrain potentially. The fight for the breakaway will likely be long, and if the day's escapees survive to this point with a gap, La Coronas will test their staying power. It also carries the intermediate sprints at the summit with precious bonus seconds of 6, 4 and 2 for the first 3 across the line. That incentive could spark action not just among the break, but also from the riders with GC ambitions who wants to nibble at the time before the finale. After Las Coronas, the road treads gradually uphill for 10 kilometers. It is a slow grinding rise rather than a sharp ascent, and it will weigh on the legs. This stretch is where the peloton begins to position itself, the GC pushing forward, the domestiques tightening their grip on the race, and then just beyond the small town of Izaba, the road tips decisively upwards. The peloton reaches the final challenge, the climb to Larra-Belagua. The ascent is 9.4 kilometers long at 6.3%, but the statistics alone do not tell the full story. The steepest ramps come in the first half, where the gradient bites hardest. Gaps can be made, but the climb also has a sting in its pacing. After the opening kilometers, the gradient steadies before easing noticeably in the final 3 kilometers. The profile forces a tactical calculation. Should the riders go early and a rider risk being reeled back in on gentler slopes? Waiting too long and the opportunity may never come. History suggests that Larra-Belagua rewards boldness. 2 years ago, the climb witnessed one of the most curious chapters in modern Vuelta a España history. Remco Evenepoel, having collapsed spectacularly the previous day on the Col de Tourmalet and fallen out of GC, bounced back with a defiant, dominant solo victory here. The symbolism was not lost. Larra-Belagua was where redemption was found. In 2025, the GC still shaping itself after the first week. This climb may well play a role as a reckoning ground, exposing who is truly ready to fight for red and who's beginning to falter. At the summit, bonus seconds of 10, 6 and 4 will be an added layer of drama for the top contenders. Every second matters, and a handful gained or lost here could prove decisive. Stage 10 therefore is not the hardest mountain day of the Vuelta a España, but it is subtle, dangerous test and the prelude to bigger things to come. The rest day legs, the attritional opening hills, the deceptive missed sections, and finally the measured brutality of the last climb, together they form a stage that may not crown the overall winner, but could quietly eliminate a pretender. By the time the race departs Larra-Belagua, the contenders list may well be shortened and the Vuelta hierarchy sharpened even more. But before we get to the predictions, we might as well hear what Patrick had to say about stage 10.
The second week starts off stage 10 on the 2nd of September from the Parc de la Naturalesa Sendavia to El Ferial Larra-Belagua. Got there eventually. 169 kilometers long. It's got 3,300 meters of climbing. Relatively flat and actually kind of similar to stage 9. If you overlaid those two, you actually wouldn't see that much of a difference between them. It's got a big climb, well, big-ish climb at the end of it, which is 9.4 Ks at 6.3%. So again, it's one of those where, will the GC teams be bothered? Will you see somebody like Q36.5 see this as an opportunity for Pidcock to try and get a stage win? It's more his sort of style of climb. Or will you just see it go to a breakaway? Who really knows?
Obviously, this being after a rest day, this could be a very, very interesting battle, as we said, with the unknown factor of the legs. But when we look at stage 9, where Jonas Vingegaard took the victory, we have to put Jonas in firm position as well. This Melissa bike looked very strong, and in the words of Tom Pidcock, they put 4 riders between themselves and the rest of the field, so that really was a good slingshot for Jonas Vingegaard, and we think maybe Jonas Vingegaard will be eager to win more stages. But we also know this Melissa bike could be prepared to just let it go and let a breakaway fight for this, because we have bigger stages deeper into this week, so maybe that is what they're also thinking about, keeping the powder dry for that. Tom Pidcock obviously very good, finishing second on that stage 9. He could definitely be up here inside the top 10, which is his goal. But we also saw João Almeida being up there as well, looking like the second strongest rider in terms of the challenge for Jonas Vingegaard for the red jersey. And we also saw a bit of weakness from the UAE Team Emirates team, because João Almeida dropping off when he probably was needed. Maybe that is a bit of conflict between the pair again, who knows, but that looked very odd on the TV cameras. Obviously, we can't neglect to talk about Thorsten Treacherous, who's still in that red jersey. How far will the Bahrain Victorious rider actually keep that jersey? That is a big question as well, because he's doing a very good job, but I think on this stage we could maybe see him lose that jersey. If we're honest, it could be the day that the jersey changes hands. Ciccone as well looked very strong, but did falter a bit towards the end. We also had Felix Gall, who sits inside the top 5, so maybe he will look to do something. I was a bit disappointed with Egan Bernal and Ben O'Connor. Those two, we really want to see them move higher up. Maybe their legs are not there completely, but yeah, those two are definitely 2 riders to look out for as well. But if it does go to a breakaway, there's numerous of riders who could maybe be in contention for this, so it certainly is going to be an open day, and I think we will maybe get Jonas Vingegaard stage and the jersey, but we will see. It's going to be a very, very interesting stage, to say the least. Anyways, with that, that's basically it for this video. Make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and if you haven't already, why not check out the Paul Sixas video on the Cycling Dane channel about the future of French cycling. But for now, thank you for watching, and I will see you tomorrow.